Here's a little tip.
From our garden to yours. I love to eat, but I don't think I've ever eaten a native edible plant. Luckily, Jennifer Ramos, our Florida Yards and Neighborhoods Coordinator, is here to show me what I might be missing. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, Celeste.
So native edible plants, are there a lot of them out there?
There actually are quite a bit.
So all kinds of different plants that are in our native environment are ones that we can actually eat. Let's take this one, for instance.
It's looking a little droopy right now. I picked it earlier, but that's elderberry. And have you ever heard of elderberry wine?
I have.
They make jellies out of it and jams. The flowers are actually edible, so it's a really good plant to have. And it likes moist conditions, so you'll see it growing in a lot of ditches and things.
On the ditches and the banks of the road,
Yes.
and the berries are purple.
The berries are very dark purple, almost black.
Now, are some wildlife competing with us for eating these berries?
Yes, the wildlife love it.
And so there's lots of other plants out there too. Here's a little thorny one I'm going to pick
be
up.
careful about that one.
But this one is?
That is blackberry, wild blackberry. It's a great plant to have, but just know that if it's in your landscape, it's going to start to sucker, and that was one of the suckers. Comes up all over the yard, so if you put it in there, it's going to spread.
And so this is one of the plants that you might want to have in your neighbor's yard that you pick over the fence and come and you pick the berries. Well, I used to have it across the street in a natural area and mine, and I used to pick them all the time.
They're delicious.
Yummy, yummy blackberries.
They're blooming right now.
They're blooming right now. And what about this one?
That is wild grape or wild muscadine. That's our native grape species.
And the little grapes are
and it's starting to form. Yes, I was sad to pick it. But this, they actually have a winery where they make a lot of wines out of this grape. It's not like California or German wines, but it's a really good Florida wine.
Well, I think a muscadine wine is a southern tradition.
It is.
It is. And the grape leaves, I guess you could use these like regular grape leaves?
Yes, you can. You can actually, they are edible, and you can use them just like the Greeks do.
So these are wrapping things and growing stuffed grape leaves. So far we've talked about a lot of things that are pretty common to landscapes. I see you brought one more.
Yes, one more, and everybody should know this. This is the cattail. Several parts on this are edible. There's usually a bulb at the bottom where the root system starts. You can actually eat that. As well as before it gets this part on it, the green pollen-like structure is actually edible. They call it corn on the cob. So you can actually cook it like corn on the cob with some butter, and it's actually quite tasty.
And I don't think I would want to eat that. Have you ever eaten that?
I have eaten it.
Is it good?
It's quite good. When it's green,
kidding.
you don't eat this part, but it's quite good.
Wow. So you've showed us lots of different plants and there's even more, Yopon holly, there's just a list of different plants that are edible. But when we incorporate we can incorporate them in our landscape, correct?
You actually can. And though you don't know it, a lot of the weeds, common weeds that people try to get rid of out of their turf areas are actually edible as well and extremely nutritious for you.
It's one of them you mentioned, which is a real troublesome weed, the Florida betony.
Florida betony. The root system is white and it's kind of bulbous and long, and it tastes sort of like not an artichoke, a radish and a carrot taste. It's quite delicious.
So you've eaten it?
I have.
So if it's in our landscape, we have to. Can we eat it anytime we want to go out and grab a snack?
No, well, almost. The wild edibles are just like veggies, and sometimes they're good, and sometimes they don't taste very good. And really, you have to know what parts are edible, what times of the year they're edible, because some parts can be poisonous at certain times of the year or during the whole year. So you really have to know what the plant is, proper ID, and you have to know how to harvest it, like the kunti, the plant, the native cycad. The root system is edible, but you have to go through a process to get that starch out, or else it can be very toxic. So you really have to know what you're eating and how to harvest it. And also, you don't want to harvest anything from your yard or from a street, because then you have all that pollution or all the pesticides in there.
Yeah, and even in your own yard, you want to be sure what you've put on there. You wouldn't want to do a lawn weed after applying an herbicide or something like that. Well, Jennifer, it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens next. Thank you for telling us about native edible plants. It's always a good day when I learn something new. I'm going to add some edible native plants to my garden this fall.